Simon Pagenaud, driver of the number 60 Meyer Shank Racing Indycar. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about your career and what you have coming for 2022.
Well, thank you for having me. It's an exciting year. You know, it's a lot of unknown, a lot of new things. I feel very refreshed and ready for the challenge.
It's a big challenge. It seems like we've got one of the most competitive and full IndyCar fields we've had in a long, long time. And you are meeting this new deep field with a brand new team and in a way a new teammate, but in a way definitely not a new teammate. So, but I want to quickly go, you've had one of the most interesting careers in motorsports, I think. I would presume that you were originally Formula One bound. Would that be correct? When you were racing in France?
Well, yes. It was as a kid when you grew up there. Formula One's the biggest racing sport. I saw my first race was the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The first race I ever saw. I was 6 years old with my dad, and we just sat on the Mulsanne corner, and it was amazing. But certainly the passion had already started from the fight between Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost in those years in the early 90s. And I dreamt about being a race car driver. So I had a dream of Formula One for sure, but my biggest desire was to be a race car driver of any sorts.
Yeah, sure. And of course, Alain was one of the best race car drivers of all time. Let alone one of the best French race car drivers. So, and you've had a lot of wonderful French drivers to look up to over the years. I was a fan of Olivier Panis as an example. But you actually ended up coming here stateside in 2006 to race Atlantics, and then jumped into the Champ Car World Series in 2007 and participated in that. So you've been involved in IndyCar since 2007, but then you kind of took a turn to sports cars and had several years in sports cars, which did in fact, I don't know if they were connected or coincidental, that led you to a factory Peugeot drive at 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, please.
Oh no, it's just, I just love to go back to memory lane like this. It's been an incredible career. I've had tough times. These choices were made because of lack of opportunities. Quite frankly, I was on the route to try Formula One, and at the time, Red Bull was the main way to go to Formula One for a driver, and French drivers were not backed by Red Bull because the government didn't say Red Bull in France. So unfortunately, bad timing for me, but I was fighting against all the Red Bull drivers. And then I had to make a decision just before GP2, basically, Formula 2 now. And decided to come to the US with the help of Sébastien Bourdais, who was the king at the time in Champ Car. And then I decided to come to Champ Car Atlantic, and that's what started my career in the US.
Yeah. And once you got here, obviously you stayed, and you ended up back in IndyCar in 2011. And then I'll just really quickly go through this because we need an hour to do it all. Yeah. But back in IndyCar in 2011, Penske in 2015, Championship in 2016, Indianapolis 500 in 2019, and now we're here at Meyer Shank Racing. And obviously there was a whole lot in between, but I wanted to quickly get that overview so you could tell me what was the adaptation period to American racing versus European racing? How was that transition, and what keeps you here in the States?
The adaptation was not that simple. I came to the US with very limited English, even though I had been preparing for racing outside France for a long time. I took advanced English lessons at home. summer school. I did everything I could to learn good English, but it was still limited. So 2006 was tough. Left my family, my girlfriend at the time, for the US. Left all my friends at home as well, and came and rented an apartment, rented my couch, and rented a TV. And quite frankly, I thought, if it worked, I would get another year. But if it didn't work, then I would probably go back to France. But the style of racing, the way the fans hang out around the racetrack, and the relationship with the drivers, the atmosphere I really liked. I felt very free in the US, and I felt very respected as a driver. And it gave me confidence in who I was and expressing myself as me. So, I'm going to spare you the details, but I just thought, okay, it's interesting. I didn't feel any pressure whatsoever. I just felt like all I had to do was the best I could. So that whole 2006 year was full focus on racing, nothing else. And it worked. But I've enjoyed the US since. I've been grateful about coming to this country and having so much success and having such a great life that I've had opportunities to go back to Europe, but I decided not to take it.
Yeah. And I think you're a fantastic part of the racing community here, and it's just been great to watch you compete. And one of the things I love about you the most is you definitely have that like pure love for the sport. It's there's no doubt that it's in you, and you said it right at the top that Formula One was your original idea, but more than anything, you just wanted to race. And that shows in all the different types of racing you've competed in over the years.
Yes, it's a deep passion, and I had nobody in my family that was in racing. I start from zero. My dad obviously loved cars and taught me how to drive at a really young age on a parking lot. But it's a really strange thing that when we discovered I had talent, I was 7 years old driving go-kart, and it started from there. But my family certainly did not push for me to become a professional, and I think that's why it worked, because I had to try harder to make it happen. So it's been an interesting time, full of tough times, but that's what makes you stronger.
So now you're in this kind of new transition period where you had several seasons with Penske, I believe 6 seasons with Penske, and now you're transitioning to a new team after developing those deep relationships with all the folks at Penske, the engineers, the mechanics, everyone. Does it help that as you transition to this new team, you're kind of reunited with an old Penske teammate in Elio Castroneves?
Yeah, absolutely. It helps because we know each other well. We work together, and our personalities complete each other really well. So there's also the fact that we've both had all the success that we wanted. We still want more, but there's no ego. We don't fight to be the number one on the team. We both want to be equal. We both want to push the team to become the best they can be, and that's to the benefit of the team and ourselves. So it's quite exciting to be restarting together with Elio being teammates, and it's super fresh. I mean, he wants to win his 5th time Indianapolis, and I just want to keep going and keep winning. So we're both pushing, and it's fun.
Does it feel good to be the young one on the team again? Is that nice?
I've never told myself I wasn't the youngest, and Tower is older than me, so he was older than me anyways at Penske. But it's interesting. And I talk with Elio a lot about this, but age to me is just a number, because I had a son 10 months ago.
Congratulations!
And he makes me feel way younger than I ever was before. I feel re-energized mostly because of him. It's given me an extra motivation to represent the family even better. So to me, it's a number. I feel like as long as my body and my mind keep sharp, then I can do this forever. So, I feel like my experience today is compensating also for a lot of stuff. And It's becoming an interesting time for me.
Yeah, yeah, well, absolutely. And I'll just, as a brief aside, my son is 5 now, and the experience only gets richer, and it's never boring. Oh my God, it's never boring. But yeah, and so do you feel like you're relatively comfortable at Meyer Shank Racing as a result of um, no ego, and like, or are there things that the way Meyer Shank Racing operates that are a little bit fundamentally different that you have to get used to?
It's very different to where I was with Tim Penske. It's extremely different.
Well, I mean, sorry to interrupt. I mean, it must be a smaller outlet as a starting place, right?
It's very different because you're comparing Tim Penske that has, I believe, 54 years of experience to Meyer Shank Racing that has, and I'm talking about IndyCar only, they only have three full season. This is the third full season that they're doing only.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to develop. There's a lot of process to put in place, but they have such great talent. They've hired Mike Shank as a talent for hiring talent. He's hired really good people. Jim Meyer behind him is extremely good businessman, as we know with SiriusXM before when he was a CEO. And we have very strong partners like AutoNation, Arctic Wolf that just came on board, and Honda. So it's a really strong outfit that is very young, and they want the experience of guys like me and Elio to create the foundation of what could become a top team. And that's really exciting to me, and I feel very involved in everything, and it's a passion of mine. It fascinates me.
Yeah, and I think I can certainly understand that appeal. One of the big parts about it is you've shifted from Chevrolet power to Honda. In a way, that's kind of a reunification as well, because you raced a lot of Honda sports cars when you were at American Le Mans Series, and then more recently the DPI car with Penske. So what's it like kind of being reattached to the Honda brand, one that you raced for a long time?
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of people that I already knew of. I see the philosophy of Honda Racing has not changed. It's only developing and improving, and I feel at home with them. I feel very valued for my feedback, which makes me feel really great and gives me a great deal of confidence in what I'm doing. And they're always seeking for whatever is next, and that's what racing's about. So I'm really enjoying being where I'm at with them right now, and being reunited. Obviously, I have a long history with them, from Pikes Peak in a minivan to driving every single Acura prototype that they've ever developed. Not ever, but since 2008. So it's been really cool to reunite that history. But I'm obviously super grateful for what happened with Chevrolet, because they gave me the 500 and the championship. So I will never forget that. And I'm grateful for that competition between the two, because without the competition, it wouldn't, my career would probably not be at this point now. So I'm very grateful for all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you mentioned Sebastian Bourdais kind of being an encouraging force early in your career to come to the United States. Have you developed any kind of a relationship with Romain Grosjean? I mean, he's technically Swiss, but obviously on the French side. Have you found a kind of a kinship with him?
Yes, well, I've raced with Romain since we're kids. We raced.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
We actually started racing. We're close in age, so we're racing Formula Renault back in France. We were competitors at a young age, and he hasn't changed in his style. He's always been the driver that he is, like taking a lot of risks and being very aggressive, super fast. So there's no evolution there, but he's evolved a lot as a driver. He's very competitive, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does. It's awesome to have him. He's bringing such a following from Formula One. I think it's great for the sport. Do we have a personal relationship? When I would say yes, when he called me when he was trying to come to IndyCar to ask me some advice, I gave him all the advice I could. I was so happy to see him come over. So now we're competitors on the racetrack. You know, it's difficult to be best friends.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And that's something that personally, it's super difficult to me, because a friend to me it's everything. So you can't step on the throat of your friends when you need to. In racing, you have to. So
Yeah.
that's where we
Yeah,
are.
but it's fascinating because it's a weird combination. IndyCar is such a small fraternity, and I would imagine to have a common language to be able to kind of come to together would be a nice bond to grow. But at the same time, at least for a couple hours on a Sunday, he's an enemy just like anybody else.
Well, that's what's tough mentally speaking. It's really difficult to switch like that. It's I prefer to keep my guards and keep my distance to be ready for the fight. My life is based around racing. I have some amazing friends that I can't say how lucky I am to have those good friends. But to me, on the racetrack, it's competition, and you just can't be friends. My personality doesn't work that way, I guess. But I see other drivers being super friendly and going on vacation together. I don't think I can do that.
Well, now that you have a 10-month-old, you won't have time for it anyway.
I've got a good excuse now.
Exactly. Looking just holistically at it, obviously you want to stay in IndyCar for quite some time, I can only assume. Do you look back and do you have any, I don't even want to say regrets, but do you ever kind of have any inklings or desire what life would have been like if it were Formula One instead? Or are you just very happy with what you've accomplished in IndyCar and very happy with the decisions you made?
Look, I have absolutely no regrets on my career and my decisions. The only regret I have is when I was 18, I had an opportunity with Renault, and I was too young. Like I said, my family was not in racing. I didn't have a dad telling me how to prepare, what I needed to do. I had parents that were telling me, "You gotta have school, and you can do racing on the side, but that's a hobby, okay?" And then we became serious too late. So I missed that chance that I had because I was too raw at the time, and I was 18. When you look at Verstappen, who's already, he's a champion in Formula One at 21. So I lost a lot of time because of my surrounding, but that's okay. It's just, my life is like that. You can't regret that. It's just, it was shaped differently. Now I'm super proud of what I've accomplished. The fact that I had the balls. I had the balls to leave my country and come here and take on this huge country and this new culture. So there was a lot to it, and I climbed the mountain, and I'm happy to be on top of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you said, you literally climbed Pikes Peak with us, so you're definitely there. And just as you said yourself, your father wasn't, Jos Verstappen. Your father wasn't connected to Formula One in such a way that you could get that glide path that Max got. Just, when you're in racing and you're not connected to it via family, that is an extra step that you have to overcome. Absolutely. Last question. You've been very gracious with what you're saying about the United States. I'm going to challenge that a little bit. How is the food here compared to, I'm curious, as a fan of French cooking, I'm curious, are you working to up Meyer Shank's food truck game? Are you working to improve the baguette recipe? What have you got for me?
Well, listen, Jason Givens, who's our team manager, we've had this conversation. I said, listen, I can't do burrito at lunch. During a test session of 8, we're driving 8 hours on the racetrack, full full on. I said, I can't do that. My stomach cannot stomach it. So can we do something about the food? Can you give me pasta at lunch? And we had this on the first day, and I felt like I was being very demanding. But you gotta get the right food, man. I mean, I need the right fuel for my body. So I think I'm upping their game, yes, at this point, but I think they're all gonna enjoy it.
Yes, it benefits everyone. I couldn't argue with that, certainly.
However, I did bring donuts to the race team the other day, so I'm guilty of that.
Well, Simon Pagenaud, we will be paying close attention to how you and indeed the team Meyer Shank develops in IndyCar, and I'm sure you'll be jumping in any race seat where there's an opportunity to jump into. We'll be paying attention to that as well. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.